Welcome to Sci-Fi Galaxy, your gateway to epic adventures, cosmic mysteries, and thrilling stories from beyond the stars. Subscribe now and join the journey. Let's head towards our today's exiting story. It starts when the intercom's chime echoed through Erin Grant's quarters, pulling her away from the glowing screen where she had been sifting through cultural data from Earth. The voice of the Intergalactic Cultural Exchange Institute's liaison followed, calm but urgent. Ambassador Grant, your presence is required in Hall Luminex at 1300 hours. A new assignment awaits. Erin sighed, brushing her hand through her short auburn hair. The Institute's sprawling campus had been her home for nearly a year, yet she still felt the same surge of nervous anticipation every time a new assignment landed on her desk. Teaching alien civilizations about Earth's culture was a privilege, but it came with its challenges, especially when the beings in question had no point of reference for human norms. Hall Luminex was a masterpiece of alien architecture, its walls shimmering with a liquid metal sheen that seemed alive, adjusting to the light of the three artificial suns overhead. Floating platforms carried students to their designated learning pods, each customized to their species' unique needs. The air hummed faintly with the sound of dozens of translators, synthesizing incomprehensible alien languages into something Erin could understand. Erin stepped into the central platform, greeted by the imposing figure of Professor Tor, an 8-foot-tall being with translucent, jelly-like skin that pulsed faintly with bioluminescent patterns. Ambassador Grant, Tor said, his voice resonating through the neural translator Erin wore in her ear. You have been selected to lead today's lecture for our most advanced class. These are the finest minds from across the galaxy. An honor, Professor, Erin replied, though her voice betrayed a flicker of doubt. What's the subject? Tor's bioluminescence flickered, a sign of contemplation. Your task is to introduce them to a concept that encapsulates human culture, a singular practice that defines your species. Erin's stomach sank. There were countless aspects of Earth's culture to choose from: art, music, literature, philosophy. But encapsulate humanity? That was a tall order. She glanced at the students, an array of bizarre and beautiful beings, from shimmering, insectoid creatures to amorphous blobs whose forms shifted like molten glass. Then it hit her, an idea so absurd it just might work. How about breakfast? Tor's glow dimmed, an alien equivalent of a raised eyebrow. Breakfast? Yes, Erin said, a smile creeping across her face. It's a universal human experience. It's how we start our day, connect with family, and fuel ourselves for the challenges ahead. Plus, it's a mix of biology, culture, and tradition. Perfect for an introductory lesson. The professor's glow returned, brighter now. Fascinating. Proceed. Erin stepped to the podium, her translator adjusting to amplify her voice across the vast chamber. The students' eyes, or equivalents thereof, focused on her. Greetings, she began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Today, we'll discuss a cornerstone of human culture, breakfast. She began with a brief explanation of Earth's diurnal rhythms, how humans typically woke with the sun and started their day with food. A holographic projector sprang to life, displaying a steaming cup of coffee, golden pancakes dripping with syrup, and a vibrant bowl of tropical fruit. Breakfast isn't just food, Erin continued. It's a ritual. In some places, families gather to share stories before the day begins. In others, it's a moment of solitude and reflection. A ripple of reactions moved through the class. A crystalline student emitted a soft chiming sound, their species' equivalent of laughter. Another, a tentacled being with eyes that glowed faintly green, waved a limb in question. This practice is inefficient, the student said, their voice mechanical through the translator. Why consume sustenance in the morning when one could sustain themselves indefinitely through other means? Well, Erin replied, humans don't have that luxury. We need energy to function, and breakfast provides it. It's about more than just survival, it's about how we prepare for the day ahead. One by one, the students shared their own methods of starting the day. A plasma-based species described absorbing solar radiation to recharge their energy reserves, while another, a hive mind of microscopic organisms, explained their process of collective synchronization at dawn. The variety of practices fascinated Erin, even as she struggled to connect their experiences to the human concept of breakfast. But why diversify the food? A student asked, their shimmering body refracting the light. Wouldn't a single nutrient source suffice? Aaron smiled. Humans are creatures of variety. Food isn't just sustenance, it's pleasure, exploration, and creativity. A meal can tell the story of a culture. The class murmured, or pulsed, chimed, or shifted among themselves. Aaron felt the tide turning, curiosity sparking in their alien minds. Just as Aaron thought the lecture was going smoothly, Erinth, a sharp-minded student with a long, serpentine form, raised a scaly appendage. If breakfast is so vital, how do you account for its inefficiency in galactic terms? It seems your species has chosen an unnecessarily complicated way to survive. The room fell silent, all eyes on Aaron. She felt a bead of sweat trickle down her temple. It's true that breakfast might seem inefficient from a purely biological perspective, she admitted. But efficiency isn't everything. Breakfast represents something deeper, a connection to others, a celebration of life's simple pleasures. It's not just about survival, it's about thriving. Erinth's tongue flicked, a sign of skepticism. Thriving or indulging? Aaron leaned forward, her voice firm. Perhaps both. And maybe that's what makes humanity unique. As the lecture concluded, Tlor approached Aaron with a rare gesture of approval. You've intrigued them, Ambassador. They will return tomorrow with more questions, and, I suspect, challenges. Aaron nodded, already anticipating the uphill battle ahead. Breakfast was more than a meal, it was a doorway into understanding humanity's complex nature. She only hoped she could help the class see that. Unbeknownst to her, the debate she had ignited would soon ripple far beyond the walls of Hall Luminex, challenging long-held assumptions about efficiency, culture, and the very essence of life itself. The following day, Aaron entered Hall Luminex to find the alien students already abuzz with anticipation. Their various forms moved restlessly in their floating pods, some vibrating, others glowing, and a few emitting faint auditory pulses that indicated heightened curiosity. Aaron felt a renewed sense of purpose. If breakfast could spark this much interest, it might just be the key to bridging intergalactic understanding. Good morning, Aaron began, her voice carrying across the expansive hall. Her words triggered an immediate ripple of reactions. A crystalline student chimed sharply. Morning? Explain. Is this a greeting or a temporal marker? Both, Aaron replied, suppressing a grin. Humans often use the term to greet one another at the start of the day. It's a way of acknowledging the shared experience of a new beginning. The class murmured in their various forms, the neural translators working overtime to process the concept. Aaron realized this was more than a cultural lecture, it was an exercise in dismantling alien preconceptions. Aaron activated the holographic projector. The hall dimmed, and a three-dimensional spread of human breakfasts materialized in vivid detail, stacks of pancakes drizzled with syrup, bowls of congee garnished with scallions, plates of eggs and bacon, and baskets of croissants with coffee steaming beside them. The display rotated, each dish glowing softly under the simulated morning sunlight. This, Aaron said, gesturing to the display, is breakfast on Earth. As you can see, it's incredibly diverse. Every culture has its own traditions, ingredients, and methods of preparation. One student, an amorphous blob whose form shimmered with iridescent colors, extended a pseudopod toward the holograms. Why such variety? Wouldn't a universal nutrient source suffice? It could, Aaron admitted. But humans are creatures of creativity and preference. For us, food isn't just fuel, it's an experience. Each meal tells a story, reflects a region, or carries the weight of tradition. The class reacted with a mix of awe and confusion. A student with a crystalline structure emitted a high-pitched hum, a sign of intense focus. Another, a gaseous being encased in a translucent containment suit, floated closer, its containment field pulsing rhythmically. I detect no logical pattern in these meals, the gaseous being observed. Why would one consume sweet items alongside savory? The flavors conflict. Aaron chuckled. To humans, contrasting flavors often complement each other. Sweet and savory, hot and cold, it's all part of the experience. Take pancakes and bacon, for example. The saltiness of the bacon enhances the sweetness of the syrup. The gaseous being's containment suit flickered. Unnecessary complexity, it concluded, but its tone betrayed curiosity. The hologram shifted, displaying a family seated around a wooden table, sharing breakfast. Parents poured orange juice while children laughed over bowls of cereal. The image changed to an elderly woman in a small Parisian cafe, sipping espresso with a croissant, then to a bustling street market in Thailand where vendors served steaming bowls of rice porridge. For humans, Aaron said, breakfast is often more than food. It's a ritual. Families bond over morning meals. Travelers find comfort in familiar dishes far from home. Even solitary breakfasts can be moments of reflection before the day begins. A serpentine student with glittering scales raised its appendage. Does this imply emotional dependence on a shared activity? My species begins the day in silent isolation to avoid influencing one another's mood. Aaron nodded thoughtfully. That's an interesting perspective. For humans, though, connection is essential. We value the chance to start the day together, to communicate and share experiences before facing the world. Erinth, the critical student from the previous session, coiled his serpentine form tighter and fixed his piercing gaze on Aaron. Your explanations suggest that breakfast is a cultural crutch, a way to compensate for human inefficiencies and vulnerabilities. Why rely on such a fragile routine? Aaron had expected this challenge. Breakfast might seem fragile or inefficient to you, Erinth, but it serves a purpose beyond mere survival. It's a way of grounding ourselves, preparing not just physically but mentally and emotionally for the challenges ahead. Erinth's scales shimmered with a faint blue light, a sign of skepticism. If this practice is so vital, why do some humans neglect it? Surely an essential ritual should be universally upheld. The question hung in the air. Erin took a moment to gather her thoughts. Not all humans adhere to the ritual of breakfast, it's true. But that's part of what makes it interesting. It's not a biological necessity for survival, it's a choice, a cultural expression. The fact that some embrace it while others don't reflects the diversity of human behavior. To illustrate her point, Erin activated a new simulation. This time, the students experienced breakfast from a first-person perspective. Through neural link interfaces, they saw and felt what it was like to sit at a table, cut into a stack of fluffy pancakes, or sip a steaming cup of coffee. The reactions were immediate and varied. The crystalline student hummed in delight, their body glowing faintly. The gaseous being's containment suit flickered erratically, suggesting sensory overload. Erinth, however, remained unimpressed. This is inefficient, he muttered, though his coils had loosened slightly, betraying his intrigue. As the simulation ended, Aaron looked out at the class. Breakfast might seem strange or unnecessary to some of you. But it's a window into how humans think, feel, and live. It's not about efficiency, it's about choice, creativity, and connection. The students were silent, processing her words. Even Erinth seemed deep in thought, his body coiled but motionless. The bell signaling the end of the session echoed through the hall. As the students began to disperse, Tor approached Aaron, his bioluminescent glow pulsating faintly. You've given them much to consider, he said. Erinth may challenge you again, but that is a sign of his respect. Aaron smiled. I welcome the challenge. This is about more than breakfast, it's about understanding humanity. As she left the hall, Aaron couldn't help but feel that she had planted a seed of curiosity. The alien students were already gathered when Aaron arrived, their various forms reflecting eagerness, or perhaps skepticism. Erinth's serpentine body was coiled tighter than ever, his emerald eyes fixed on her with an intensity that bordered on a challenge. Aaron took a steadying breath. Today's lesson would focus not on the cultural aspects of breakfast but on its biological roots, a topic she hoped would resonate with these analytically minded beings. Aaron activated the holographic projector, displaying a detailed, rotating image of the human digestive system. The visual zoomed in to highlight the stomach and intestines, their intricate folds pulsing with simulated activity. Today, Aaron began, we'll explore why breakfast is more than just a cultural ritual. For humans, it's a biological necessity. The image shifted to show a group of humans engaging in various activities, running, typing, and playing instruments. Beside each figure, a glowing energy meter fluctuated, demonstrating the direct link between food and performance. Humans need energy to function, Aaron explained. Our bodies convert food into glucose, a form of energy our cells use. Breakfast replenishes our energy stores after a night of fasting, allowing us to start the day effectively. The crystalline student, whose species consumed light as energy, emitted a resonant hum. Humans seem inefficient. My kind simply absorbs photons as we move through the day. There is no need for this cumbersome consumption. Aaron nodded. That's a fascinating adaptation. But humans evolved in an environment where sunlight wasn't always available. We had to develop internal systems to store and use energy. Another student, a gaseous being encased in a translucent field, pulsed with curiosity. My species recharges through quantum resonance. A brief alignment with subspace provides energy for weeks. Why didn't humans evolve similarly? Environmental conditions, Aaron said. Human evolution was shaped by Earth's specific challenges, limited resources, changing climates, and the need to hunt or cultivate food. We adapted to these conditions, and food became central to our survival. Aaron uncoiled slightly and raised a shimmering appendage. If food is so vital, wouldn't it make sense for your species to streamline the process? Your reliance on varied and inefficient meals seems flawed. The hologram shifted to display a graph comparing the metabolic rates of various species. Aaron highlighted the human metabolism, explaining its adaptability. Our system may seem inefficient, but it's flexible. Humans can consume a wide range of foods and adapt to various diets, an advantage in unpredictable environments. Aaron's eyes narrowed. Flexibility does not equal superiority. My species consumes one nutrient type and survives indefinitely. Your species seems over-engineered. Aaron smiled. Perhaps. But that over-engineering allows us to thrive in diverse environments, from deserts to frozen tundras. Our biology isn't just about survival, it's about adaptability and resilience. The hologram shifted again, displaying a table of various human nutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, and minerals. Each nutrient was paired with a visual example: fish for protein, bread for carbohydrates, avocados for healthy fats. For humans, breakfast isn't just about energy, Aaron continued. It's about balance. A proper meal can boost brain function, improve mood, and enhance physical performance. Our reliance on diverse nutrients has driven us to explore, innovate, and connect. The crystalline student hummed again, its glow intensifying. Fascinating. Your species' complexity seems unnecessary but elegant. Aaron chuckled. Thank you. Breakfast, in a way, reflects our complexity as a species. It's a microcosm of who we are. Aaron invited the students to share their species' energy systems. The class came alive with activity as each described their unique biology. The crystalline student, we absorb photons through refractive surfaces on our bodies. Excess light is stored in internal crystals for later use. The gaseous being, quantum resonance aligns us with subspace energy currents. A brief recharge sustains us for weeks. A hive mind student, we share energy across our collective. Each individual's surplus is distributed to the whole, ensuring survival. Aaron marveled at their adaptations. Your systems are incredibly efficient, she said. But efficiency isn't the only metric for success. Humans trade efficiency for versatility, and that's shaped our entire species. Aaron's body coiled tightly again. Your argument assumes versatility is inherently superior. Yet your species is bound by its need for frequent nourishment. What happens when food is scarce? When your systems fail? Aaron met his gaze evenly. You're right, scarcity has been a challenge throughout human history. But it's also driven us to innovate. Agriculture, trade, and technology all stem from our need to secure food. Breakfast may seem simple, but it represents millennia of problem-solving. Arinth tilted his head. So you claim your inefficiencies are strengths in disguise? In a way, yes, Aaron replied. Humanity's reliance on food, and breakfast in particular, has shaped our culture, our technology, and even our evolution. It's a challenge we've embraced, and it's made us who we are. As the session progressed, a new hologram appeared, displaying a simulation of a human brain. Aaron highlighted areas linked to memory, focus, and mood, explaining how breakfast influenced them. Studies have shown that breakfast improves cognitive performance, she said. For humans, it's not just about physical energy, it's about mental clarity and emotional well-being. The class murmured, intrigued. The crystalline student emitted a series of harmonious tones. Does this mean breakfast affects your minds? It does, Aaron confirmed. What we eat shapes how we think, feel, and interact. It's another example of how breakfast connects our biology to our culture. As the lecture drew to a close, Arinth raised his appendage one last time. You claim breakfast is vital to your species' success. But I ask you this, if breakfast is so essential, why do so many humans neglect it? What does that say about your species' ability to follow its own logic? The question hung in the air, heavy with challenge. Aaron paused, realizing that Arinth's inquiry went beyond biology. It was a philosophical critique of humanity itself. Excellent question, Aaron said, her voice steady. And one we'll explore in our next session. As the students dispersed, Aaron felt a mix of satisfaction and anticipation. The debate had shifted from biology to something deeper, the contradictions and complexities of the human experience. Breakfast, it seemed, was more than a meal, it was a mirror reflecting humanity's greatest strengths and flaws. The air in Hall Luminex felt different as Aaron entered for the next session. The alien students were more animated than usual, their various forms humming, glowing, and shifting in restless patterns. The previous lecture's debate on the biology of breakfast had clearly ignited something in them. Today, Aaron planned to move beyond the biological and into the emotional and social aspects of breakfast, territory that might challenge their logic-driven perspectives even further. Welcome back, Aaron said, standing at the center of the holographic platform. She raised her voice to address the entire hall. Today, we'll look at how breakfast is more than just a meal. It's a ritual, a way for humans to connect with each other and with themselves. With a wave of her hand, the holographic display came alive. Images of humans sharing breakfast appeared, from families laughing around a table to workers grabbing coffee and pastries together at bustling cafes. The visuals shifted to serene scenes, a person sipping tea while watching the sunrise, another reading a book beside a plate of toast and eggs. Breakfast, Aaron continued, is a moment of connection. Sometimes it's shared with others, strengthening bonds. Other times, it's a personal ritual, a way to center ourselves before the chaos of the day begins. The crystalline student hummed softly, their tone curious. Why place such importance on a meal? For my kind, connection comes through shared resonance. Physical presence or sustenance is unnecessary. That's a beautiful concept, Aaron replied, genuinely impressed. But humans are tactile creatures. We value physical presence and shared experiences. Eating together is one of the ways we build relationships. Arinth, the ever-critical serpentine student, raised an appendage. This reliance on shared activities seems inefficient. Why not exchange necessary information telepathically or through data transfer? Aaron smiled. Efficiency isn't always the goal. Humans are emotional beings. Sharing a meal isn't just about exchanging nutrients or information, it's about creating memories, fostering trust, and building community. To drive her point home, Aaron activated an immersive holographic simulation. The students were enveloped in a bustling cafe on Earth, complete with the sounds of coffee machines hissing, plates clinking, and soft chatter filling the air. Each student experienced the scene from a first-person perspective, sitting at a table with steaming cups of coffee, fresh pastries, and other breakfast staples. The reactions were immediate and varied. The crystalline student emitted a series of harmonious tones, their glow intensifying. The textures, the warmth, it's unexpectedly pleasant. The gaseous being, encased in its containment suit, pulsed erratically. This sensory overload is fascinating. I detect an emotional component to these interactions. Erinth, however, remained unmoved. This simulation highlights your species' inefficiency. Time wasted on such trivial activities could be better spent on productive endeavors. Erin turned to Erinth, her expression calm but resolute. Perhaps. But humans find value in those trivial moments. They ground us, remind us of what we're working for, and give us a sense of belonging. Productivity is important, but so is meaning. Erin shifted the simulation to showcase breakfasts in different cultural settings, a family in Japan enjoying miso soup and rice, a bustling market in Mexico serving chilaquiles, a Bedouin camp sharing flatbread and strong coffee under the desert sky. Each of these breakfasts tells a story, Erin explained. The food reflects the environment, the traditions, and the history of the people who created it. When humans share a meal, we're sharing those stories too. The hive mind student, whose species functioned as a collective consciousness, pulsed with interest. This concept of individual stories is foreign to us. We act as one, without distinct narratives. How does your species manage cohesion with such fragmentation? By finding common ground, Erin said. Breakfast is one of those commonalities. No matter where you're from or what your story is, everyone needs to eat. It's a simple act that unites us. As the simulation ended, Erin posed a question to the class. What does your species do to prepare for the day? Is there a moment, however small, where you connect with yourself or your community? The responses were as diverse as the students themselves. The crystalline student, we begin each cycle by aligning our frequencies. It is a silent, collective act of synchronization. The gaseous being, our kind, isolates momentarily, allowing for introspection before rejoining the collective flow. The hive mind student, each unit of our collective assesses its energy contribution before the whole resume's activity. Erin nodded. Those rituals may not involve food, but they serve a similar purpose. They prepare you for the day, connect you to your identity, and remind you of your place in the larger picture. Erinth raised his appendage again, his tone sharp. You speak of connection, yet you've admitted that not all humans adhere to this ritual. If breakfast is so vital, why do many neglect it? Erin met his gaze, her voice steady. Not everyone values breakfast in the same way, just as not everyone values the same rituals. That's the beauty of humanity, we're diverse, contradictory, and full of choices. For some, breakfast is essential. For others, it's not. But the choice itself is what defines us. Erinth tilted his head, his scales glinting. Fascinating. Your species embraces inefficiency and contradiction as virtues. Erin smiled. In a way, yes. And that's what makes us human. As the session drew to a close, the crystalline student emitted a bright pulse. Perhaps we should attempt this ritual ourselves. To understand it fully, we must experience it. Erin's eyes widened. You mean, you want to try breakfast? The students hummed, pulsed, and glowed in agreement. Even Erinth seemed intrigued, his coils loosening slightly. It would be the logical next step, he said. To evaluate its true value. Erin hesitated, then nodded. Very well. We'll conduct an experiment. Each of you will experience breakfast in your own way, adapted to your biology. Let's see what you discover. As the students began to disperse, Erin felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. The next session would be unlike any before it, a test of whether breakfast could truly transcend species and become a universal ritual. Little did she know, the experiment would yield results far beyond anything she could have anticipated. The air in Hall Luminex buzzed with an unusual energy. Word of the experiment had spread beyond the Advanced Cultural Studies class, and students from across the Intergalactic Cultural Exchange Institute had gathered to witness the results. Erin stood at the central podium, her nerves tingling with anticipation. The alien students had spent the past 24 hours adapting human breakfast rituals to their unique physiologies. Today, they would share their experiences. "I hope you're ready," Erin said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Let's begin." The first student to present was the crystalline being, Lumera, whose shimmering form resonated with soft, melodic tones. Lumera's species absorbed light as energy, so they had replicated breakfast using Earth's sunlight, filtered through specialized prisms. "Our experiment was enlightening," Lumera said, her glow intensifying. The process of waiting for the light to refract felt meditative. It forced us to pause and reflect before beginning the day. A concept we had not considered. Erin smiled. "And did it enhance your focus or energy?" "It did," Lumera confirmed. "But the act of reflection was the most significant. It added an unexpected depth to our routine." The class murmured, impressed. Erin felt a flicker of hope. Maybe breakfast was more than a human phenomenon. Next up was the Hivemind Collective, represented by a single drone named Sci-Fi. Their species had attempted to replicate pancakes, albeit with a twist. They created nutrient-dense discs infused with bioluminescent algae. "Our collective found the experience divisive," Sci-Fi admitted. The act of preparing the meal caused disagreements among the drones. Some favored efficiency, while others sought to replicate human artistry. It was chaotic. "But did you learn anything from the experience?" Erin asked. Sci-Fi's glowing eyes blinked in unison. "Yes. We discovered that conflict, while inefficient, can lead to unexpected creativity. The meal was both functional and aesthetically pleasing." The class erupted in murmurs of surprise. For a hive-mind species to embrace creativity was a groundbreaking revelation. Then came the gaseous being, Kveth, whose containment suit flickered erratically as they prepared to share their story. Kveth's species absorbed energy from subspace, but they had tried to replicate the sensory experience of breakfast by creating a vaporized form of coffee. The experiment failed, Kveth admitted, their containment field pulsing dimly. "The vapor destabilized our energy matrix, causing unintended side effects." "What kind of side effects?" Erin asked cautiously. Kveth's containment suit flickered brighter. "Overstimulation. The vapor caused our thought processes to accelerate exponentially. We spent the entire cycle debating existential questions about existence, purpose, and the nature of time." The class burst into laughter, or their species equivalents of it. Even Erin couldn't suppress a grin. "Well, it seems breakfast inspired some deep thinking." Finally, Erinth took the stage. The Serpentine student had approached the experiment with skepticism, openly criticizing the inefficiency of breakfast rituals. He had chosen to replicate a simple human meal, eggs and toast, modified with nutrient-dense compounds suited to his biology. "My initial hypothesis was correct," Erinth began, his tone sharp. "Breakfast is inefficient. The preparation required time and resources better spent elsewhere." Erin's heart sank. She opened her mouth to respond, but Erinth raised a shimmering appendage to silence her. "However," he continued, his voice softening, "I found the act of preparation calming. It allowed me to organize my thoughts before engaging in my daily tasks. And the shared experience with my cohort, though unnecessary, was enjoyable." The class fell silent. Even Erin was stunned. Erinth's admission was the closest thing to praise she had heard from him. "So," Erinth concluded, his emerald eyes glinting, "while I maintain that breakfast is inefficient, I cannot deny its psychological and social benefits." As the presentations concluded, Erin addressed the class. "Your experiments show that breakfast is more than just a human ritual. It's a way to pause, reflect, and connect, with yourself and with others. Even if it's inefficient, it serves a purpose beyond pure functionality." The crystalline student chimed in agreement. "We have found value in the act of intentionality. Perhaps inefficiency has its place." Erin felt a surge of pride. The experiment had not only challenged the students' perspectives, but also deepened their understanding of humanity, and perhaps even themselves. Just as Aaron was about to dismiss the class, a loud chime echoed through the hall. The holographic projector flickered to life, displaying a transmission from the Institute's central hub. Ambassador Grant, a mechanical voice announced, "Your breakfast experiments have triggered an anomaly." Aaron frowned. An anomaly? The display shifted to show a distant sector of the galaxy. A faint, rhythmic signal pulsed from an uncharted region, its energy pattern uncannily similar to the vibrations emitted during the breakfast experiment. "What is that?" Aaron asked, her voice hushed. "We don't know," the voice replied. "But it seems to resonate with the energy signatures produced during your class's experiments. It may be an attempt at communication." The students exchanged nervous glances, or their species equivalents of them. Aaron's mind raced. Had their experiments somehow reached a distant civilization? Aaron turned to the class, her expression resolute. This signal could be nothing, or it could be something extraordinary. Either way, it's up to us to investigate. Pack your findings and prepare for a field mission. We're going to find out what, or who, is out there. The students erupted in excitement, their forms glowing, pulsing, and vibrating in anticipation. Even Arinth seemed intrigued, his coils loosening as he gazed at the holographic signal. As the class dispersed, Aaron stared at the pulsing light on the display. Breakfast had started as a simple cultural lesson, but now it had become something far greater, a mystery that could redefine their understanding of the galaxy. Little did they know, the answer to the signal would change everything. The Intergalactic Cultural Exchange Institute's exploration vessel, Aurora's Edge, hummed with life as it sped through the uncharted sector of the galaxy. Aaron Grant stood at the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the pulsing signal displayed on the main monitor. The rhythmic energy bore a strange resemblance to the vibrations and patterns generated by the breakfast experiments in her class. Around her, the alien students prepared for what could be a groundbreaking encounter. "We're approaching the signal's origin," announced the ship's AI, a soft, melodic voice resonating through the control room. Aaron turned to the students, now a makeshift team of researchers and cultural ambassadors. "This could be a chance to bridge an even greater gap than the one between us. Are you ready?" Lumera, the crystalline student, hummed brightly. "Ready to resonate." Arinth coiled beside Aaron, his emerald eyes gleaming. "Let us hope your breakfast rituals have not accidentally offended a warlike species." Aaron smirked. "Let's hope." The ship emerged from a swirling nebula, revealing a massive structure floating in the void. It was unlike anything Aaron had ever seen, an enormous, organic lattice glowing with pulses of light that matched the signal's rhythm. The structure seemed alive, shifting and undulating as though breathing. "Is it a ship or a living organism?" Zypher, the hive mind student, wondered aloud. "Both, perhaps," Aaron said. "Let's proceed cautiously." The Aurora's Edge approached a docking port that opened like a blossoming flower. As the airlocks connected, a warm light flooded the ship's interior. The alien students exchanged uneasy glances, their forms reacting instinctively to the unfamiliar environment. "This is it," Aaron said, her voice steady. "Let's make first contact." The group stepped into the organic structure, greeted by a collective of beings unlike any they had encountered. The creatures were fluid, shifting forms that resembled flowing water held together by shimmering energy fields. Their voices came as harmonic vibrations, reverberating through the air. Aaron's neural translator struggled for a moment before synthesizing their message. "Welcome. You are the source of the resonance?" Aaron stepped forward. "We are. It's a byproduct of our cultural experiment, a ritual called breakfast." The beings pulsed brightly, their harmonics shifting. "Breakfast resonates deeply. A concept we lack." The students exchanged puzzled glances. Aaron asked, "What do you mean by lack?" The beings explained through harmonic pulses that their species had evolved to prioritize efficiency above all else. They lacked rituals, traditions, or any form of shared culture. Over time, their society had fractured into isolated individuals, each focused solely on survival. The absence of connection had left them adrift, their civilization on the brink of collapse. "We detected your resonance," the being said. "It carried unity, purpose, connection. We wish to learn." Erin felt a lump in her throat. The signal wasn't just a call, it was a cry for help. These beings needed more than sustenance or technology, they needed something humanity, and perhaps her class, could offer. Erin and the students began the delicate task of introducing the beings to the concept of breakfast. Using holograms and simulations, they demonstrated not just the preparation of meals, but the rituals surrounding them, the joy of sharing food, the comfort of morning routines, and the sense of belonging they created. Lumera led a session on the meditative aspect of preparing a meal, her crystalline form glowing as she resonated with the beings. Cypher shared the hive mind's chaotic yet creative experience, emphasizing the importance of collaboration. Even Kveth described how their overstimulation led to profound existential insights. Erinth, initially reluctant, took charge of teaching the beings how to prepare a simple dish tailored to their biology, a nutrient-dense liquid infused with harmonic frequencies. This inefficiency, Erinth admitted, has surprising value. As the beings experimented with breakfast rituals, their collective energy shifted. The pulsing light of their forms grew brighter, more synchronized. Where there had been discordant vibrations, harmony began to emerge. Their society, once fragmented, started reconnecting in ways they had forgotten were possible. "You have given us more than sustenance," the being said. "You have given us meaning." Erin felt a wave of emotion as she realized the magnitude of what they had accomplished. Breakfast, a seemingly simple human ritual, had not only bridged a cultural divide but had also saved an entire civilization. The students returned to the Aurora's edge with a renewed sense of purpose. As the ship departed, the being's lattice structure pulsed with vibrant light, sending a new signal across the galaxy, a signal of unity and hope. Back on the ship, Erin addressed her class. "Today, you've shown that even the smallest aspects of culture can have profound impacts. Breakfast wasn't just about food, it was about connection, creativity, and resilience. Never underestimate the power of a simple idea." Erinth coiled beside her, his emerald eyes thoughtful. "Perhaps inefficiency is not a weakness after all." Erin smiled. "Welcome to the human perspective." The ripple effects of the experiment spread far and wide. News of the encounter reached the Galactic Council, sparking a newfound appreciation for cultural exchange. Alien civilizations began experimenting with their own versions of breakfast, creating rituals that reflected their unique biology and traditions. Erin and her class became legends at the Institute, their work a testament to the power of empathy, creativity, and connection. And as Erin sipped her morning coffee one quiet day, she couldn't help but smile. Breakfast had started as a simple human ritual, but it had become a force capable of uniting the galaxy.